Hi, this is Nathaniel Moore with GuaranteedProfit.com, and just so you know, this is the very first video in a multi-video free course here at GuaranteedProfit.com on business goal setting. One of the very first steps that we follow when it comes to setting business goals is creating your most idealistic and holistic end outcome. And what that means is being able to take a big picture of the end scenario that you want and being able to consider all the moving aspects, so that way you don't get to your goal and there be some missing pieces to the puzzle, or you get there and maybe it's not exactly what you thought it was going to be or what you wanted, or maybe the process took a lot longer because you zeroed in too narrowly on one specific aspect that you were looking for, or one specific result that you were looking for when it comes to setting your business goal. So one of the best ways that I know how to get real with myself, is along with help our clients get real with themselves, at the same time tap into their highest potential, is to ask a series of questions. And that question, one of the first questions that we ask a lot of the times, is what's called in some schools of thought the miracle question, and you will learn why it's called the miracle question here in a second. But the miracle question basically is as follows. You can actually stop the recording if you'd like right now and grab a pen and paper, or you can actually just enjoy and listen to it and think about it and come back to it later. But either way, imagine for a moment that you left your workplace today and you carried on with your evening like every other evening, and you went home and you went to bed. But while you were sleeping, something amazing happened. In fact, it was a miracle. A miracle happened, but because you were sleeping, you had no idea that this miracle was taking place. But when you woke up the following morning, you looked around, you started to engage in business, and you realized that everything was exactly as you wanted it. Everything. The whole process of what you were engaging in was perfect. Now, considering that, what are the first things that you would notice to know that it was perfect? What would be the first, second, and third, and fourth situations or processes or scenarios that you would notice would be completely different, and how would they be different? Okay, so your step here, once you start to think about that, is to free write as much detail as possible about it, because normally when we're sitting with a client and I'm asking questions around setting business goals, I'll be able to ask specific questions and kind of maneuver through the situation, kind of like if you want to think about a four-dimensional Rubik's Cube, being able to maneuver through the situation through asking specific questions. But if you just free write for now, if you just free write as much detail as possible, that will drum up a good amount of information. So once you do that, I want you to basically separate and categorize the differences, or the different parts that you would notice first. Now, what you want to do is consider, when you separate those different parts, I want you to ask yourself three important questions. 1, what do I gain from this specifically? 2, how does this gain change things for me personally? And 3, how is this affecting my business life right now? And so how will this change affect my business life right now? Now, I know those questions kind of overlap and overlay, and they're kind of entwined, and there's a lot of similarities to those questions, but it's important that you think about them. And the reason for that is because when you ask those questions in sequence and in order, or versions of those, by the third question, if you're honest with yourself, you'll start to answer those questions from a values perspective, or a kind of a deeper level. And some of them will inspire you. Some of them will really excite you immediately, right now, as you write them down. So what you want to do is just circle those and take note of those and put them aside for now. And we'll get back to them later. But it's important that you go through the process of asking yourself those questions and putting them aside for later. Because in our next video, we're going to talk about designing your business goals and optimizing your beliefs so that you're able to eliminate all the friction in between where you are right now and where you want to be from an internal aspect. Because the process of getting to a business goal can either be painstaking and challenging, or it can be exciting and fast because you're aligned with your beliefs with where you need to be. All right, so that's going to be on our next video. If you have any questions, again, the goal is for you to ask the questions here at guaranteedprofit.com. On our fourth video, I'm going to address the questions for this section, the section on beliefs, as well as the section on designing your business goals so that way they're actionable and predictable as far as the results are concerned. So I hope you have a really great day. I hope you're able to use the value in this video, and other than that, we'll talk to you soon.